Well, good morning, my friends. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. I'm Stephen Wynn. This is the Loving the Coronavirus program. This is the 18th day out of 20 classes. So just Thursday and Friday to finish up our class, our course here. I look forward to that, and I'm just really grateful for everyone for this course. So this morning, we're going to work with our throat centers, our throat chakras. And I wasn't sure I was going to go and do this. I was going to focus on the lower three chakras, but I just thought, the throat chakra is tied into the air element, the first chakra to the earth element, the second to the water, and of course the solar plexus to the fire element. So I just thought we should finish this up. The fifth element is the ether element, the space element, akasha. And that's really connected to the crown. And the next 2 days we're not going to do all, the sixth and seventh chakras. We'll go back to focusing on the coronavirus itself, on loving it. Because most people in the West, when they're, New Age meditators, this sort of thing, even the releasers are really focusing on the crown when they go into beingness. When we transcend, we're developing our crown. So, we develop them all, of course. And everything is connected to everything. But I'm not going to focus on that. So, the other thing is that these chakras in the torso, and I'm including the neck there, or the throat, the atlas, the medulla oblongata, so to speak, they're all so interconnected as they're all part of this package of the four elements that are all within the four chambers of the heart. So let's just talk a little bit about the throat chakra before we go into our hearts. So it's in the Sufi tradition. This is called the center of spirit. The center of spirit. It's a very sacred center, and when our throat chakra is open and fully healed, we will speak and sense great sacredness. It's a vibrational center. We create vibrations in our throat. And we can sense vibrations here. And it's in the sensing of vibrations that we connect to this center of spirit, which has both the flavor of and the connection to the spirit of guidance and to the Holy Spirit. So if we want to live a life directed by divine guidance, it's vital that we develop our throat center. Because it's not just in the expression of vibration, it's the receptive center for vibration. It becomes a very powerful friend to us. In Sanskrit, this center is called the Vishuddha, which translates as purification. And there's a great story about Lord Shiva purifying a foul smell at the beginning of creation, a gas. It's okay, we'll tell that story later. But he breathes it into his throat, and his throat turns blue. So, that's a general concept, but we should talk about the awakening of our souls. The great Sufi master, Hazrat Nat Khan, spoke of it as, our souls become awake when these finest channels become connected at all the levels of life, open, so we sense all the planes of creation and not just the surface plane that we sense through our senses. We become aware of all the vibrations. And that's why everything becomes so sacred. And he ends this little blurb by saying, "You will find in your own heart the center of all the worlds." You will find in your own heart the center of all the worlds. I'm so happy to see this, because the phrasing I use is just from my own experience, was the heart. Our heart is a center point of creation, or we could say the center of all the worlds. Okay, the other sort of interesting thing about the throat chakra is, as we open it, heal it, expand it, develop it, we become sensitive to all these vibrations, and we begin to hear the music of the spheres. And of course, it's a center for self-expression. And that's tied into our second chakra, which is our creative expression. But what the throat center does, it takes unmanifest thoughts and feelings and gives them physical reality. That's why in my email last night I had this quote from the Bible, where God tells Job, after he's gone through all of his problems, he says, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you." Basically saying what you speak will become true. A lot of truth in this throat chakra. All right, enough of the talking. The Chinese have this great saying that talk doesn't cook the rice. So let's start cooking the rice. Let's start moving into our hearts so we can explore this incredible part of our physiology, this incredible plane of existence. So let's begin by noticing where we are this morning, how we're sitting, how we're feeling, how awake, how alert, how peaceful, how agitated, how bothered, how alive. How clear are our senses? You notice some days you walk out the door, you barely notice a thing. Other days we walk out the door and our senses are alert and alive, and the morning never looks so fresh and so beautiful. Well, you know, the mornings are all the same. Maybe some mornings are brighter than others. But it's we and who we are that determines how we sense them. So now that we have a baseline where we are, let's begin moving into our hearts by simply sitting up straight, comfortably, with our feet flat on the floor, and just put our hands one on top of the other over our hearts. And just check to see if you can feel your heartbeat through your hands. Just noticing. And just notice what sitting with your hands and your heart does. What's your experience now in your body, in your room? What happens when we put attention on our hearts, in our life, in our world? It's really quite traumatic. Really quite traumatic. So let's just put our hands down and begin our practice of heart rhythm meditation. It's taught by a school of the heart called I Am Heart. It goes back to the Desert Fathers and the Desert Mothers. And let's begin just by simply watching our breath, monitoring and noticing the condition of our lungs and our respiratory system. How fully do we inhale? How fully do we exhale? Is one nostril more clear than the other? How do your lungs feel this morning? There's subtle differences every day. And by noticing them, first of all, we love them. To be aware of is to love. But we just begin to become fluent with our respiratory system. And it's easy to notice if it's off, if it needs attention. So let's shift into the second phase of this preparation. And that means beginning to have a very full inhale, very full exhale. Full exhale means we pull the abdominal muscles all the way back towards our spine. And then gently and graciously allow the air to fill back up. First into the abdominal area, then into the lungs. Full inhale, full exhale. We want a comfortable pace. We don't want hyperventilating. Just begin to notice what happens as we have this full inhale, full exhale. Our bodies become flushed and filled up with life force, prana, chi. We inhale, we exhale fully. Just put your hands down. Well, you're already down probably. I've been moving my hands in and out. And just notice what happens. How alert are you now? Maybe open your eyes and just check to see how fresh are your senses as we fill our bodies, minds, and hearts with energy. How quiet have you become? And now let's go on into this formal stage of heart rhythm meditation, where we connect the rhythm of our breath with the rhythm of our heartbeat. It means inhale to the count of 8 heartbeats, exhale to the count of 8 heartbeats. Could be 6 or 10, whatever's comfortable for you. Feel your pulse if you can't feel your heartbeat inside yourself, or simply count. Over time, the heartbeat shows up as we become more attuned to our inner sensitivity. Now, I've said it before, but I'll say it again because I should have said it more often, I think. If you have an arrhythmia, if you have asthma, it may be safer to do the swinging breath during this. You're the judge, but that would be our recommendation. Just so you can build up your system. Let's go back. Inhale to the count of 8 heartbeats. Exhale to the count of 8 heartbeats. Use your name for your heartbeat, this sacred name. If you're coming in late to this class, it's usually a 2-syllable name. Some teacher, master, divine being that you have a great connection to. You know, if you come out of the Vedic tradition, it might be Rama or Krishna, Devi, Lakshmi, could be Amma for mother. If you're Christian, it could be Jesus, Abba, Amma. All Hebrew words for mother or father. Could be Mary. If you're Sufi, it could be Allah, like that, Buddha. Just inhale to the count of 8 heartbeats. Exhale to the count of 8 heartbeats. We just do this quietly for a minute or two. again, just check in where you are right now. How quiet, how settled. How peaceful. How aware. How centered. How much are you in your body? This is what we do. We do this to completely expand all the while remaining in our bodies. So we're going to, as preparation for our throat chakra work, we're going to do that practice I mentioned earlier, the swinging breath. And look at we've been there before, we've experienced it before. And it's, the throat chakra is a way of getting divine guidance, and this is a way of getting guidance. So what we do with this is we inhale into our hearts the stream of energy. Our breath goes in through our lungs, but we just inhale in the energy into our hearts just like we've been doing. But do it from the back. The count of 8 heartbeats. Fill up the heart. When it's full, we exhale out to the front through our hearts, out to all of the universe, to all of creation, to the count of 8 heartbeats. We inhale into our hearts from the front, to the count of 8 heartbeats, filling up our heart, and we exhale out the back to the unmanifest realm, to the count of 8 heartbeats. Then we inhale from the back to the count of 8 heartbeats, filling up our hearts. Exhale out to the front to the count of 8 heartbeats. Inhale, pulling all the universe, the energy of the universe, the wisdom, the knowledge into our hearts. We fill up, and then we pass that feedback back to the celestial realms, so they know how to act and behave and direct and change. So let's just keep up this pattern for a few minutes here. Inhaling from the back into the heart, out to the front, from the front into the heart, out to the back, and just continue this. if you have a personal question that you would like an answer to, some guidance for, on the exhale out, just sort of drop the question out there to the universe. And then just keep breathing the same pattern. Just ask it once or twice. You could ask it as you're exhaling into the back. But the point is, you ask once or twice, and then you just let it go. And let the answer come to you. The guidance come to you in its own time. It may be immediate, or it may be a day or two. You may get some sign. Someone may say something, or someone writes you something in an email and go, "Oh, that really rings true now." That's how guidance shows up. It can be just a direct answer, a feeling, "Oh, I have to go this direction." It doesn't matter how it shows up. Once you start being attuned to signs, you'll see them everywhere. And you run your life differently, not from your intellect or your mind. All right, let's thank this swinging breath, thank the universe, thank the beings, the celestial realms. And just sit quietly for a second, let that energy die down. It's a beautiful, swinging energy. We become the connecting point between heaven and earth. The material and the non-material parts of creation. Our heart is that connecting point. So now we want to move into a practice to heal and expand our throat center. And the reason I had us practice the swinging breath is because this has some of the same flavor to it, but done in the throat chakra with a variation. So what I want you to do is I want you to inhale to the count of 8 heartbeats, or whatever your number is, from the celestial realms into the back of your neck, into the medulla oblongata, into the atlas on the spine. We're going to inhale in there and then take the energy down into our heart. So we're really inhaling into our heart through the back of our neck from this vast celestial realm. Inhale, so just try that. Inhale through the back and just fill up the heart. Move the energy down the spine into the heart. It's okay if it just goes straight down into the heart. It's okay if we begin by imagining this. It's a new experience. Just inhale slowly in through the back of the neck, filling up that neck center and just passing through it, and fill up the energy into your heart. And then from the heart we're going to exhale. The energy goes up through the spine, through the throat, and then out through the front of the throat. So inhaling in from the back, down to the heart, filling up the heart, and then exhaling up through the throat and out the throat. And we're not going to do the full swinging on this. We're just going to breathe like this. Inhaling into the back to the count of 8, into the throat, the neck, the back of the neck. Fill up the heart with energy, and then exhale. That energy goes up to the throat and out through the front of the throat. going forward and filling your world with this divine vibration. So let's just play with that, practice that. It takes a while to get the mechanics, I know. Just do the best you can without judging yourself. You can't do it wrong here. You can just do it better and better. So let's just breathe that way for a few minutes. Inhaling through the back of the neck, and just continue. Now that we've practiced the pattern, I want you to shift into the air breath as you do it, the air elemental breath, which means inhaling through slightly open lips and then exhaling through slightly opened lips. But do the exact same pattern, inhaling from the back of the neck down to the heart, exhaling up through the throat and out the throat, but now with slightly opened lips. If your mouth gets dry, it's certainly okay to close your mouth and do the nostril breathing for a few rounds. Then come back to it. The air breath is very refined, very airy, moves everywhere. It's light, cooling. And let me just, as you continue this, let's just talk a little bit more about this sacredness, this sacred throat chakra. One thing to notice is that it's between your heart and your mind. It becomes the bridge between your heart and your mind. The great story of the Ramayana is Sita, who represents the heart, is abducted and separated from Lord Ram, who represents the mind, good orderliness, reason. And it is Hanuman, the son of the wind god, son of Vayu, the breath, who was instrumental in reconnecting Sita with Ram. The breath connects the heart and the mind. In from the back to the count of 8 heartbeats, into the medulla oblongata, the atlas, the back of the neck, down to the heart. Fill the heart up and then exhale. 8 heartbeats out, up through the throat, and out the throat. And then just repeat that pattern again and again. In from the back of the neck, down to the heart. Fill up with energy, fill the heart up. Exhale up through the throat, out the throat. With slightly open lips on the inhale, slightly open lips on the exhale. It's our center for self-expression. As we heal and open our throat chakra, our words become very articulate, kind, thoughtful, clear, and truthful. If our throat chakras have been shut down, quite often this happens in our childhood, when we're criticized severely, continually, or we're not allowed to express ourselves. Our children should be seen and not heard, type of a thing. The symptoms, or what happens to us is, when that throat center is shut down, we become overly sensitive, easily offended. We have a sense of a lack of expressing ourselves. We might feel neglected or disconnected. So if any of those conditions ring a bell with you, now you know where to work to heal and restore that. It takes time. This is slow work. But what does that matter if it takes a year or 2? I always had a really tender solar plexus. Not well developed at all. And I started this work, and after a year or 2, all that tenderness was gone. Really quite amazing. So if any of these qualities or any of these conditions are alive in you, this is the work to do. And I'd suggest singing lessons also. Notice that singers are very powerful in the sense that, and actors all have well-developed throat chakras. They sing or they act, they speak and they transfer feelings well. We become inspired, moved. That's all a powerful open throat chakra. Sometimes we have a lot of energy in this throat chakra, but it's distorted. Just keep breathing. Through open lips, in the back of the neck, down to the heart. Fill the heart up with energy. Take that heart energy up back through the throat and exhale. By doing this, we connect our throat chakra with our lower chakras. And anyone who's taking singing lessons or speech lessons know we don't want to be making a lot of loud noise from the throat. It comes from down below. Support really the second center, or the whole body singing. Back to this distortion of energy. If our throat chakra energy is distorted from a lot of wounds, we may find ourselves talking too much. Or we may find ourselves hiding out in a cloud of nonsense speech where we just jabber along. If I keep talking, I'll be safe. Something like that. We might not be wanting others to have their own self-expression. It may be threatening to us when people speak their own truth. So if you're having those things going on in your life, this is where you want to work to heal it, to shift it. And again, this is slow, steady, gradual work. But over the course of months, a year or two, what a huge difference it is in your life. My level of power enhanced dramatically when that tenderness was gone from my solar plexus. I already had a lot of power, but boy, did it grow. Massively did it grow. That's when the millions of dollars started showing up. Once that wound was healed in my solar plexus. Inhale through the back, the neck, fill the heart up. Exhale through the front. And once I stop talking, I begin to feel the sacredness of what we're doing here. Would it be okay with you if you become so attuned to the inner vibrations that you begin to hear the music of the spheres? Would it be okay with you if you begin to sense the subtle vibrations of all the different planes, all the different levels of life, all the different 7 heavens that they spoke of in the ancient world, to me clearly correlating to the 7 chakras? Would that be okay with you? And just, it's enough of that breath for a while. Let's just Move back to breathing normally. And let's just examine. But notice where you are. Notice if there's a sense of sacredness, if there's a sense of lightness of energy from the earth breath, or the air breath. Check to see if there's a sense of expansiveness, all the while connected to your heart. How would you feel? Would it be okay with you if you clearly received divine guidance for your life? And all we're doing, just say yes, because all we're doing is we're making a decision there, a choice, an intention. And check to see if you have any resistance to that. Like, who am I to receive divine guidance? Or, it'd be nice, but. And could you just welcome and love, welcome up those feelings, those thoughts, and love them? To ask a question in terms of Christian terms. Would it be okay with you if the Holy Spirit was with you 24/7? Or you could just say, would it be okay with you if the Spirit of the Divine was lively with you 24/7, day in, day out? And again, you just say yes. You're just making a choice. Would you rather not have the Spirit of vibration with you at all times, or would you rather have the Spirit with you at all times? What about the Spirit of truth? Strong in the solar plexus, but here also. Would it be okay with us if we spoke truth, pure truth, and whatever we spoke was so true that creation responded by manifesting that in our world? Imagine we speak the truth and the world shifts to accommodate us. Truth. Check to see if you have any resistance to that, any fear of that. What if you speak the wrong truth? Or, I'm afraid to have that much power. I'm afraid I'll make a mess of things. Can you just welcome that energy up and love it? Honor it as a part of you, trying to protect you and take care of you. Love it, thank it, let it go. Would it be okay with you if you could speak the pure truth that is good for everyone involved, and the world shifts to reflect this truth? It's easy to say yes to that, isn't it? Could we say yes to being so totally aligned with truth that our heart's desires, which are the truth of our being, come to the fullness of expression and fulfillment. Could we live with such truth that our heart's desires are automatically fulfilled? And again, let's say yes to that. We're just setting intentions. We're letting them go. And for those doubts that come up, can we welcome them? Thank them? And know that it's perfectly acceptable for this intention to take its time to manifest perfectly. Could we allow this intention to show up in the perfect time? I am personally a deep believer that this time is coming soon. And I'm not saying that's weeks or months or anything like that, but I look at the fingers, the fingers of one hand, the years, 2, 3, 5 years. I don't know for sure, but that's what comes to me. This world is shifting. We are in the forefront of that, in consciousness and in the heart. Could you allow it to be safe to be on the forefront of the evolution of mankind? And let's just say yes to that. And yes, some more. And let's make that a nice place to break and end the meditation. So again, notice where we are. Check in where we are. Open your eyes when you're ready. Check your feet. And just notice your experience. It helps to notice in contrast to your other meditations. So do you notice a difference between your state right now and the state when we explored the root chakra with the earth element? Stable, spreading, persistence, a certain kind of potency and power for that persistence. Or even yesterday with the solar plexus. You notice a difference there with fire in the solar plexus. It's a hotter experience for me. That's for me. But here, cool, expanded, still very present in my heart. Check this texture of our energy fields. Over time, these differences become bigger and bigger, clearer and clearer. And that's an indication of our ability to use these energies, to align with these energies for our fullest expression in the world and the fullest fulfillment of our heart's desires.